Hello, and welcome to the Grumpy Gobbler channel. My name's Noah, and today I'm going to talk about my WaterPORT water container thing, and I'm going to go over what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and how I use it. Thanks for coming along. This is how I use my WaterPORT. I have it mounted to the front of my 4Runner, and this is kind of like a kitchen bathroom sort of thing with no pooping or peeing. And so you can see we have our toiletries here, a little soap, keep some towels and rags on here, and this works perfectly, especially with this mount here to hold this water spout. And this water spout has several different modes you can use. And you can pump this up by using an air compressor. There's a Schrader valve on the back end over here, and you can just connect it to a compressor, pump, whatever, and fill it with air and to pressurize it. You can also just pump it up this way, which on this trip I haven't even used a compressor on this. I have just been using this, so as I use the water I just pump this a few times, and that gives me enough pressure. I don't want too much pressure because it's unnecessary, and so I can just sit here and wash my hands with a little soap. Done. We really love this setup. This works perfectly for us. We don't really use this as drinking water, although you could use it for that and boil the water if you wanted to. The water's, I'm sure, okay inside, and I guess that's it. All right, because the WaterPORT only carries 3.8 gallons, sometimes on an extended trip, you're going to run out of water in your tank, but it's easy to refill. So you just take off this cap here, and be careful if you have pressure in here. It may vent here, and if you have too much pressure, it's just going to fly off and go into orbit. I have my 5-gallon water container here, and I'm going to try to do this without spilling it all over the place. Make sure I have the vent open. And this will take a little while. It is windy today, so if the sound sucks, then the sound sucks. So remember, this blue container is 5 gallons. It might be 6 actually. And the WaterPORT only carries 3.8. So just make sure you don't overfill it. You got to leave a little bit of room at the top for air. You can't have it filled all the way to the top. You have to have room for air. So let me see where it is. Oh, I still got a lot to go. This blue container wasn't all the way full, which is actually a good thing now because I can pick it up. And not too much is spilling. I'll go ahead and stop there. Put my cap back on. Now, I could connect a compressor to the Schrader valve and pressure it that way, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do this. I did that for my wife because she's behind the camera right now looking at me, and now she's laughing, so it was all worth a while. Alright, so I have a little bit of pressure. This was empty, so this will do that, and now I have water. Ta-da! Alright, this is how I have my WaterPORT mounted to the bull bar of my bumper on my 4Runner. I just have some U-bolts obviously here. And I think I used stainless. It must be, because they're not rusting. They're rusting a little bit, but that's to be expected. And when I first mounted this, I did not tighten these nuts enough, and so it kind of drooped down. You can imagine this is 3.8 gallons, and with the weight of the WaterPORT itself and the weight of the water, is quite heavy, and so it started to droop down. So I just tightened that, and ever since I did that, this does not move at all. And I've gone some fairly moderate to heavy off-road with this thing attached, and it has not moved. So this locks in with this lock, and so that way I know it's secure. It's not going to pop off, even though that lock isn't the strongest lock in the world. And give me a second, I'm going to take the lock off, and we'll come back and I'll show you taking it on and off. Alright, I've removed the lock, and to take this on and off, it just kind of slides up and off, and that's the mount attached to my bull bar. And so to put it on, you just kind of slide it in there, and that's it. Now when I first mounted this, you can see that rubber, I'm holding this so I can't point to it. There's a little rubber piece mounted on here, and I put that on there. I epoxied it on. Actually, I epoxied two of them. One of them fell off, and the reason I did that to stop this rattling around, because when it's installed, you can see that gap in there, and this thing moved around quite a bit. So with that rubber piece I epoxied on there, it doesn't really move around. So I'm kind of shaking it now, and it doesn't really rattle. But it rattled quite a bit without that rubber piece in there, and that's why I did that. So I would recommend, if you're going to mount this someplace with using this kind of system, then I would put a rubber piece on there. I cannot remember whether these U-bolts came with this. I think it did. Or I bought them separately. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure these came with it, and because the spacing was perfect. I don't think I had to drill anything. Anyways, that's how I have it mounted. When I'm traveling, I take this off, the hose off, and I just put it on at camp. This is the valve assembly. And one of the gripes I had with this is the original valve assembly leaked after a while, and so I had to buy another valve and some other accessories. So turning it on and off is as simple as this. If I can go the right way, and now it's off. I'm going to relieve a little bit of pressure in here. And you can see it's off, no water's coming out. And this just is a quick release, and there you go. And that's how I travel. I travel with it like that. It does stick out quite a ways. I have an adapter on there. So that comes with several adapters and ways to mount the valve. This is the way I found that leaks the least. Actually, this does not leak at all right now. But this quick release, the original one did start leaking, and so I've replaced this. And so turn them back on. Now the water's on. And that's it. You can mount this to either side. This is how it slides in, and it comes with mounts to mount in the bed of the truck, on a rack, and I did initially have it mounted to my rack, but you can imagine the weight of this thing, putting it on and off the rack and filling it was kind of a pain in the butt. So that's why I mounted it here, and this works absolutely perfectly for how I want to use it. This is a pressure relief valve, so when you're adding air through the Schrader valve, if you add too much, this will pressure release, and I have validated that that works. You can see it gets a little bit dirty. I clean it maybe once every 6, 7, 8, 10, 20 years. Actually, I don't think I've actually really cleaned it. Comes with this neoprene cover. Don't know what it does, besides make it look maybe a little bit better. It's supposed to, because it's black, it's supposed to take heat from the sun and make your water warm. I have found that not really to work. I don't know, if you leave it out for quite a long time, maybe that works. But I've been here in the sun. While it's not warm here this weekend, the water is still cold. It does get cold at night, but even at the end of the full day of being in the sun, the water's not hot. And in fact, it feels cold. But that's why it's black, evidently. And that's it.